Land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize. Land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know, nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place we ever roam could be like Belize, be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize. Land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna.
We want to look at the burial of Jesus Christ, and I want to raise some things because the Bible is a book that should provoke you to think. You should not just go blindly into reading things, and some people just blindly, and this is a passage of scripture that I regard as, all the scripture is special, but this one has some very special handle on it because it brings together some very important information. I don't believe Jesus Christ died on Good Friday again. I don't believe that because of this very passage of scripture and its related verses. It's because 3 days and 3 nights, as Jesus Christ said, no matter how you count that, mathematically it is impossible. But there's an explanation, and it is our misconception because it talks about a high Sabbath. And we must understand these terms clearly. We must understand these terms clearly. What is a high Sabbath? You have the annual Sabbaths, where there are Sabbaths that were celebrated. These were not the 7-day Sabbaths. And these Sabbaths were celebrated on the day on which they fell. And some of them were known as high days or high Sabbaths. When the year Jesus Christ died, if a check is done, you will see that there were 2 Sabbaths in that week as a consequence of the high Sabbath not falling on the day of the weekly Sabbath. So there were 2 Sabbaths. And you could see where the women went and quickly prepared the body when they did not break his leg, because the Sabbath was approaching. It was a high day. When you look in Luke that we're going to be looking at, it does not say, but John clearly tells you that the Sabbath they were talking about was the high Sabbath. It wasn't the Saturday. The high Sabbath, the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, this is the high Sabbath, right? According to Exodus 12 and Leviticus 23, 6 and 7, this day was a holy convocation where no customary work was to be done. It was an annual Sabbath. You see, this Sabbath, the one that prevented them, that caused them to exacerbate the whole process, was such a day. It was not the Saturday or the Friday evening, because the Sabbath starts from what we call Friday, what we refer to as a Friday evening, until the Saturday evening. When John 19:31 says, "For that Sabbath was a high day," it indicates that the first day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread was starting. That Sabbath was a high day, right? So we have that clear. But why am I saying that? Why am I clearing that up? Because as we read, we will see something here. It says, "There was a good and righteous man named Joseph, a man of the Sanhedrin." You see, when things go wrong, when things are going wrong, you have a choice. You follow the others or you do what is right. Who had not agreed with their plans, you see, and action, he did not agree. He was from Arimathea, a Judean town, and was looking forward to the kingdom of God. You see, sometimes people misunderstand. I've seen great misunderstanding with people. And I think I've gotten to a place where I won't argue with people again, except for the scriptures. I used to like to try to show, well, you know what, it's really this. And maybe God wired me like that to talk about the scriptures. and was looking forward to the kingdom of God. He approached Pilate, you see now? Not only did he stand up from the Sanhedrin, but he approached Pilate. That's also a problem because remember now Pilate was the man who called. His wife told him not to, but he eventually went along. So going to these fellas now is putting yourself at risk, but Joseph goes. You know, in my secular job, I find myself in some positions sometimes, I tell you, not easy, but in my mind, what I'm doing is right, and I stand up. This is what I see here too. This man, he's so convicted about right and wrong. He has chosen the side of right, and he decides no matter where the chips fall, he will stand his ground. He approached Pilate and asked for Jesus' body. He asked for the body of Jesus Christ. So taking it, well, of course they gave it to him. Taking it down, he wrapped it in fine linen and placed it in a tomb cut into the rocks where no one had ever been placed. That is prophecy. That is prophecy. The scriptures clearly talks about that he's going to go in a rich man's tomb. Joseph of Arimathea was a rich man, and nobody else had ever been placed in that tomb. He said, when no one had ever been placed. You see, the Bible is telling us. Why is it saying this? Because this comes from what the prophecy says in the Psalms. It talks about this very situation. It said it was the preparation day and the Sabbath was about to begin. So now they're talking about that Sabbath. And as I said to you earlier, this Sabbath that they're talking about was the annual Sabbath that fell on a day other than the weekly Sabbath. And so that particular week when Jesus Christ died had two Sabbaths. So now that's why the women quickly went and they half prepared their body because time was running out. Remember, he died at 3 o'clock and the Sabbath starts at 6. The only 3 hours they have to go and ask that to take down the body, half prepare the body, take it to the tomb, prepare the tomb. All of that had to be done before 6 o'clock, which was when the Sabbath started. And so that's what they're talking about here. This was a high Sabbath. So the woman who had come with him from Galilee followed along and observed the tomb and how his body was placed. So then they returned and prepared spices and perfume. You see? So after they had done that, they returned. This is after that high Sabbath. Then they returned and prepared spices and perfumes, and they rested on the Sabbath according to the commandment. On the high Sabbath, what they did was to half prepare the body because they couldn't prepare the body properly. They went home, and then on the day between the two Sabbaths, what they did was to get the spices, and then they were going to come back early in the morning to prepare that body. Right? When they went there, they didn't find anybody. But we can check and see too. We're talking about looking at the scriptures and understanding what actually transpired here. And I would insist that you do a further study on this to be able to be clearer, because there are people who are going to come to you. We must be prepared to contend for the faith. There are people who are going to pick at these things, and they will try to go there, and they're going to try to confuse the person who does not understand clearly. You, as a Christian, you should know and you should be able to defend what the scripture says.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me Sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me Sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize. Land of the sand and sea. Land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize. Land of the isles and keys. Land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace.
I'm coming back to your heart.
Foundations. Your work must be grounded upon solid rock, and so should your faith. Join Pastor Louis Wade Jr. weekly for Foundations Bible Study, where he goes deep into the Word of God with biblical teachings for better understanding.
A person might have potential inside of them, a desire to fulfill something, but the word of the Lord can bring that out of a person. Amen? So in the case of Gideon, though he felt that he could not do it, God had designated for him to do it. And so when God spoke the word through the angel, Gideon became who God knew he was all along.
Tune in on PlusTV Sundays for a new program or catch the repeats. We would love to hear from you. Write in and share your thoughts, prayer requests, or even pose questions you may have regarding the Bible passages. Foundations. Unless the Lord builds the house, those who build it labor in vain.
So when we face God, you know something. We're not saying God alone, but the Lord.
Spice up your next event with professional lighting. Call 610-5679 and give your audience an experience they'll never forget. Proper stage lighting ensures stage visibility, motivates, and sets the mood of the atmosphere. We provide services for weddings, concerts, parties, dance recitals, and much more. Captivate your audience. Improve your production today. Call Shamax Productions at 610-5679 for quality and professional stage lighting.
I can't feel to see it.
Cyber Realty and Development is the leader in providing solutions to the current land crisis in Belize. For homeowners and investors alike, Cyber Realty is offering special deals on half-acre parcels in its new Emery Village development. Enjoy prime land off mile 37 on the George Price Highway at an unbeatable price. All you need is the initial down payment of $275 Belize dollars. Take advantage and reserve your half-acre home sites today. Emery Village. Join the community. Invest in your future.
Blessed Gardens is servicing home gardens across the country from the nation's capital and helping Belizeans reconnect with nature. We have everything you need for your home garden, so get growing. We have various types of soils: fortified soil, composted soil, potting soil, and pure compost for your garden. We have quality seeds and over 65 varieties of food seedlings for your garden. We even have organic insecticides available, EM soil treatment, and Polyshade for your excessive sun or rain. Blessed Gardens has all your garden solution in one location. Call 610-5679. Visit us at the Bumapan Market Plaza or enjoy our free deliveries across the country. Blessed Gardens. Get growing, Belize.
Do you enjoy learning and wanting to know more about Christ your Savior? Then join Phil Sanders in Search of the Lord's Ways every Sunday 7:30 a.m. and 8:30 a.m. on PlusTV for half an hour of beautiful hymns and Bible messages. Messages are repeated on Tuesdays at 1:30 and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Search in the Word for God's will. Know more and do more for the God we love. In Search of the Lord's Ways with Phil Sanders is being brought to you by the Church of Christ in your area. Be sure to visit.
Mopping, tiles, furniture, and
Miss, you don't need all of this, man. Only this you need to make 4 out of this. And it's cheaper than all of them put together.
I want it.
Green Clean. All your cleaning needs in one bottle.
You are my inspiration, seeing you happy and how quickly you grow. You are so tiny yet so smart. You have the most sacred place in my heart. I know you thought I was strong. If only you knew my strength came from you. All I think... Sir, don't you think you're a little bit too big for this story time?
Excuse me? What about all this discrimination? As far as I'm concerned, I identify as a 4-year-old. Besides, I hear these children will have pictures, and everybody like pictures, right?
Yeah.
Read away, please.
I do all I think you need and ask. I pay attention with love and care. I love her most even when I think you're not there. My name is Madeline Tucker, and I am the author of My Inspiration. And you can purchase this at
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go?
Welcome to another edition.
Where would I spread my bed?
Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Thursday morning. We are in the full second week of July, and we really passed the halfway mark. It is the 16th of July. We are live on this beautiful morning. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. We have life, we have hope, we have the mercy and the grace of God, new and fresh every day. So whatever you are going through this morning, your God is bigger than that. We've started a new study in our Bible study at church, and we are looking at the book of Hebrews. And I just love how Hebrews starts, that Christ is everything. Everything was made through him, and that everything is for him, by him, through him, for him, from him. This is the Christ that we serve. So whatever situation you are going through, be it sickness, financial, relationship, your God is bigger, and everything is under Christ, and you are under him. And so everything that is available from God is available to you this morning through Christ. So it is a beautiful day. You can do it. It's Thursday morning. My friend, colleague, partner, co-host, Scott Sturm is here with me this morning.
Happy to be with you.
I think he's here more than I am.
Well,
thank you so much.
I've been filling in, and
I've been everywhere but here.
That's right. And so, but you know, somebody's got to hold down the fort, right? But we're part of the team. Want to make things happen, and I want to say to all of our friends and partners out there in the nation, you guys are part of the team as well. When we're talking about mobilizing for positive change in the nation, it only happens when we have people that come together. So we're very, very grateful for everybody's involvement, and we're very happy to be here together with you this morning.
Amen. And I want to encourage you to share the link. Those of you who watch us on stream, I know some of you watch us on YouTube. YouTube, you can either watch on your device or you can throw it on to your smart TV. There are ways, if you have a Samsung TV and a Samsung phone, you can cast from Samsung to Samsung so that you can continue to enjoy larger viewing. There are ways to do it. And of course, many of you still watch on the traditional cable across the nation of Belize. PlusTV is available on all cable outlets, cable companies. They're no longer broadcasting open air, and so the cable systems carry our signal or you watch. And I want to encourage you to please, as the days and weeks progress, stay tuned to Rise and Shine. There is no other place, I believe, that you can get the volume and type of information. We need your support. We need you to stay tuned. Do not take for granted that which I believe God has placed here in the nation of Belize. Stay tuned, stay connected. Please share our information, share our stream. And of course, we try as well from our technical side to share the stream as well with as many sites and groups as possible. Scott, I want to start off with the weather report for this morning. Today, as I said, is the 16th of July, and as of 6 a.m. this morning, the general situation calls for weather conditions to improve through the day. That it's going to be mainly fair weather today expected and over the next few days. In the next 24 hours, the forecast is for it to be cloudy at times today and then partly cloudy tonight. There will be a few showers, periods of rain and isolated thunderstorms are likely to continue over and central to southern areas this morning, but it will gradually decrease by afternoon. Tonight, isolated showers and thunderstorms are possible, but mainly over the south of the country. Marine conditions, winds are blowing from the east at 10 to 20 knots with winds gusty from time to time. Inland, the sea state is moderate with waves 4 to 6 feet. Temperatures, inland 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I think the current temperature is 83 degrees as the template is showing you, but the high will be 90. The low was 74 earlier this morning. On the coast, we can expect 88 as the highs with 82 as the low, and in the hills, 78 with the highs, and it was a bit cool in the hills this morning with 68 degrees being the low. The outlook for Friday and Friday night is for a decrease in shower activity with only isolated showers expected. And so you have in front of you the 4-day forecast. It's mostly going to be sunny with just isolated showers. And so I think we're past that wave that was here, the second wave too that was here, and we can see mainly fair weather ahead. It's going to be a beautiful day, Scott.
Yep, I was wondering if yesterday was going to be another Saturday, right? Because on my weather app it was showing like rain, for all of the hours from night straight through. Yes. And so anyways, it turned out to not be quite like that. We did have some downpours, and they don't call it rainy season for no reason, right? But I love it when I see that sunshine on those little forecast things, right? So anyways, it's all good. They say all sunshine makes a desert, right?
Yeah.
So we have to accept, the rain also. But as I've said many, many times, Louis, I've always got tons of things that need to be done. So I'm happy when I see sunshine.
Yeah.
Let it rain in the nighttime while we sleep. We all sleep better with the rain. And then in the daytime, I want sunshine. But you don't always get what you want.
Some of my guys work outdoors, so it's like, right, run out, run in, run out, run in. But the day got to continue.
That's right.
So if we look at the weather, we won't farm, right? We won't. Not today. I was saying that one of the problems with our tropical experience, because we don't have winter, is that we say we could do it tomorrow, because somehow we know the sun is going to come out within a day or two, and there's going to be experience. It has literally contributed to the wealth that exists in northern countries and the poverty that exists in the south and central areas, because it creates a mentality. There's a procrastination mentality.
Why do today what you could do tomorrow?
Yes,
right?
because the sun will most likely come out tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
But if you live in these temperate countries, you know that there's a winter coming, and so the time within which you have to work, if you are going to survive the winter, if you are going to have food on the plate even when you can't go outside and the temperatures drop below freezing or close to that, you know that you have to put away stuff for the winter, so you have to work double. You have less time to work double to produce more. And so there is a different mentality when we talk about time on the clock. What time you go to work, come back from work, it's 8 to 5, but you're there 8:30, and you really begin to generate, produce till 9, and then by 11:30 you clocked out to go 12, right? And these mentalities persist in culture. They persist in culture because we that procrastinating spirit. And then we cuss other people out and cuss other cultures out who are literally on the clock. They're on the clock because that they know that being off that clock eventually winds up to winter in a sense, where if you have not stored enough resources. And so our mentality has to change. We think that other people's wealth is ours, that they have taken, while the truth is we have not stored up for ourselves, because we have the mentality of enough is right around us and we will always have time to catch and kill. I don't know if northern countries, these successful countries, even have a concept like catch and
it doesn't fit in the mindset.
It can't
but
even,
Lewis,
right?
it's true, right? And it's not just northern, but it has to do with the extremes, you know, and the weather patterns, and knowing that there's going to come a time when the snow comes and everything's going to be shut down, right? And so it has to do with the concept of planning and thinking ahead and working towards that, and then seizing the time. I think that concept of seizing the time. Now's the time we have to do this, and so. But it's 5 o'clock. Yes, but winter's coming. We've got to get this finished, so we go more. Whereas in your more tropical, climates, then people tend to not think that way. People don't think about their next meal until their belly starts growing, right? And
right, Jesus, work while it is day, for the night comes when no man can work. So the Christian ethic, the Christian understanding through Christ and through biblical principles,
that's right,
right, is that night is coming, that we should not put off for tomorrow that which can be done today. Like there is a definite time, Scott, when you and I will not be able to be as productive in the kingdom from a works perspective. Like I know my parents, they're still active spiritually in prayer, in advice, etc. But that physical ability to move around as we're moving around and to make things happen. And I want to challenge our viewers who belong to the Lord, challenge leaders, Christian leaders, those of us who have ministries, have responsibility. That principle of procrastination can either begin to creep in where the culture of the day begins to affect our spiritual productivity, rather than the culture of Christ, which is also like push ahead, like occupy till I return. The kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. So depending on the translation and the passage of scripture, and that forceful people lay hold of it. So that movement forward, lest the culture of the day begins to affect our spiritual purpose and strategy that God has given to us for our nation and ministry.
It's true, Lewis. And I want to just take a couple seconds and plug the whole thing of the power of culture, right? Because and then sometimes there's areas in our culture, well, I would say all the time, in all cultures, there's areas that are good and there's areas that need to be thrown out the window, right? And then we are the ones that have to assess that. Lewis, I've had the amazing privilege this week to speak 2 times to a group of young people from in some of the tough areas of Belize City. And to be honest with you, when I stood in front of them at first, I said to myself, oh my God, Lord, I need a miracle. I've been praying for a miracle, believing God for a miracle, and Lewis, God did a miracle. But I was sharing with them about when somebody was doing a project. It was called Bless the City, right? Somebody had donated, I think, a container load full of paint, you know, to help bless the city, you know, and so the churches would be involved and help clean up the city and wash people's houses and repaint the houses and this and that and everything. And we sent our young people in, you know, from out in the Belmopan area, and they came back and they said, Pastor Scott, the music that these people are listening to, the alone killing and sex and just like and they saw it for themselves, right? Like it's a cultural subgroup, right? And I've seen it happen with young men that I knew from when they were small, almost half raised them from when they were younger, and then, you know, they wind up in prison. They call me from prison. I can't understand hardly a word they're saying, Louis, because like then the talk was by Scott meant by Big Dread by Menchek, you know, what? Who is this? You know, this is so and so. No, this isn't so and so. But he adopted a different culture, you know, this street rough. It's a subculture, but then those cultures are made up of values. And then those values, you know, turn into mindsets, and people get locked into this thing. And so I'm just saying that to say, in every area, we need to look and we have to address areas of culture where it's deficient, and some of it needs to be thrown out the window. So, for example, I won't talk about this, but the machismo culture, right? This man is so much of a man that one woman is not enough for him. Like, no. Throw that out the window. We need strong families.
Right. And so, you know, we look at what is happening in our country, and I know that one of the things God has laid in my heart is that we are to work towards delivering a nation to the next generation that is better spiritually than the one that we received, which is not an easy task. I believe that we are blessed in what we received, the generation that went before us, be it from a governmental perspective, you know, where the first Prime Minister of the country, the leader of our nation, the father of our nation, left a good roadmap, I believe, in what he called a Christian democracy, in what we have a national prayer that speaks very, very clearly to spiritual things. You cannot read the national prayer of Belize and guess what religious persuasion. You don't have to be guessing, because it's very clear. It's crystal clear. The aspirations of prayer for our government and people, that the light of your divine wisdom direct their plans and endeavors. Like you imagine that statement, so that with your help they may obtain their just objectives. That the need for God. You look at the opening of the preamble to our Constitution, and again, you do not have to doubt which God is it. Doesn't matter, you know, it's the Creator God, it's the biblical God, it's the God who is sovereign, who gives rights to human beings, and from Him we receive, being created in the image and likeness of God. Who we are emanates from the essence of who God is. So we have these things, the freedom to pray in school. And Scott, I have taught at a government school. As I say, I had my primary school was a Methodist school. My first high school was a Catholic school. And then I moved to an ecumenical school where Catholic, Anglican, and Methodist work together in that school, which is ecumenical high school. That's why it has its name, because there were three religions working together, three denominations working together. And we had devotions every single week. A different class was doing it. And you had your prayer before, national anthem and prayer in the classroom at an ecumenical school. I went to Belize to technical college. It was devoid of God. The government school was devoid of God when I went to sixth form. And we had a Christian club. we formed a Christian club. I was a part of that. Karen Jacobs, she's married now, but which is Sherilyn, the Jacobs family, that spiritual heritage. Karen and I were in class together, and she encouraged me, Louis, come to Christian club, you know. And then I went to teach at the Anglican Cathedral College, to be very specific. I spent the 3 first years of my teaching career, mass services, devotions, prayer throughout it. I then moved to Belmont Comprehensive School, where it was not a Christian institution, it was a government institution, but we had our devotions, and the devotions were extremely clearly Christian. And Scott, that is being ripped up away from our children. The government schools are extremely secular.
Even anti-God.
Yes, and anti-God in the government schools that God has placed on the side. And even the government schools used to have prayer, and that is being systematically. And I understand what I mean when I say systematically. God is being removed from the education system. And the only thing that's keeping God in the education system is because at the very beginning, the father of the nation, Right Honorable George Cadle Price, tied the church and the state together in that education system, where many schools are directly run by the churches, and the government is fighting to escape from that bond.
Yep, it's true, Louis. And what happens when you throw those things out the window, right? What happens to a nation? Look at the United States, Louis, and they actually had a big case. It was around the same time that abortion was legalized, right? Which was the banning of prayer or any kind of religious activities, in public schools. And look how it's fared. Look what's happened in the United States, right? And so that's where they're saying now they're at a place crying out saying we need God back. And that's why I've said, Louis, I refuse to sit back and let these, what I consider to be severely misguided people make these kind of decisions and choices when I know full well things are going to get worse, and then when it gets so bad, then we're going to cry out for God, and we're going to have to put those things back in. I would rather fight to say, no, let's keep it in, and let's live it. Let's get this thing real.
And it's a fight. I believe from 2012, around that time, when the government began to advance the LGBTQIA agenda, and we began to have the attacks in the legislative, not legislative, but in the judiciary, in the court setting with Section 53, the onslaught against the church and the principles of the kingdom of God have been constantly under attack. Suffering violence, because the attacks have been persistent, and the attacks move between the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Human Development, and now gender, whatever, family, NCFC, National Committee for Family and Children, the Women's Commission. They are very, very, very powerful, and that's separate from the NGOs. We used to have Unibam. Unibam does not carry that weight that it carried before. It broke up in a sense, and you have Petal now that's pushing at the forefront of transgender, yes, and the wording and so on. So it has never quite gone away. And I think that pastors and leaders that are in the forefront continue to recognize that the attacks continue. But by and large, the church in general, Christians in general, they feel that like it's far removed. Like the average Christian is far removed from the fight. And it's time, I believe, for churches, pastors, leaders, Christians who are concerned about the nation of Belize to begin to refocus their attention primarily on the education system. I'm grateful for an organization like GAMAS, G-A-M-A-S, GAMAS, which has really taken the torch, Scott, and has run with it from from a management perspective,
That's right.
to try to keep God in schools and in the education system.
Yep. Lewis, maybe you can explain for everybody what GAMAS stands for,
Right,
and what that means, right?
right. So again, I think that this is something that you will be hearing more. This organization is going to become more and more present as they are moving towards putting together a full secretariat which can carry out its work even while the members are doing their own individual work. There is a secretariat that can concentrate on the work of that organization. So in the past, there was what was called a bishops' commission, where the various bishops from the different church organizations came together in the interest of preserving religious freedoms in education. Because, as I said at the very beginning, the father of our nation, the Right Honorable George Cadle Price, tied the church and the state together in a beautiful relationship where the children of the nation of Belize were educated in moral and spiritual values, as well as the academics and the vocational. So schools prayed, they sang the national anthem, you have the national prayer, you have devotions, the teachers that you get have a spiritual awareness. Even if they are not Christians, they abide by the spiritual values of the institutions, the principles, as I said at the Mapan Comprehensive School. That's not a GAMAS school per se, that is a government school, but the spiritual principles and moral values was inculcated in the curriculum and the affairs of the school. So very slowly, as I said, government began to try to force Christian schools to accept teachers that did not share the values, try to put unrealistic secular burdens on the management systems, changes in the curriculum, what is to be taught, what not to be taught. And I think since 2012 and so on, there has been a lot of push using words like gender, using words like inclusion, diversity, and many other key terminologies that have different meaning from what the average person would think. And very slowly, and so there was the need to shore up the relationship with government so that you have clear boundary lines. And so GAMAS was born out of that, which is the grant-aided management in schools, but it's where all of the non-government schools, the religious schools, came together, the leaders and representatives of all of these different churches that have schools, be it evangelical, be it Pentecostal, be it assemblies of God, which are evangelical. You have the evangelical Pentecostal schools. Nazarene, for example, the denomination I belong to has those schools. And then you have the Adventist, the entire Adventist mission is a part of GAMAS. And I mean, that shows you the importance that the Adventists have placed in education, and the need that either we swim together or we sink together.
That's right.
And then you have the Catholic, Methodist, Anglican, Salvation Army. Salvation Army has a school in Belize City, the Presbyterian.
Yep.
So Scott, this GAMAS then is the organ that liaises with the Ministry of Education whenever there is policy changes, legislation, bill, curriculum, and all of these things. But you can very clearly see that in this current administration, this current government, there is a strain. There is a strain. It's like there is a desire to rip apart the relationship between the church and state, as it relates to education. So there is a lot of smiling on the surface. There's a lot of handshake, laugh, and talk and light language. But in document, in black and white, in the way the tension is very high, because it's there. You have Gamas that seeks to ensure that the moral, spiritual, and academic values remain and are strengthened, and it appears that government is on a different tangent.
And Lewis, of all things, like what we're seeing is an encroaching upon morals. And it's like, are you kidding me? You're not seeing the value of morals. You know, we've got every night in the news, we got new exposures about corruption and all these different and you want to remove morals from education. Like Lewis, I do not understand it for the life of me, except that people see those morals as a threat to what they want to push. Right.
A new moral or a different moral. You see, so
definitely not a God-based moral.
Well, if it was God-based, you would want the input of the church.
Right.
You would want the input of an organization like Gamas, which represents the church, which represents the principles of the kingdom of God. And then you will also want to ensure that your teachers have a spiritual base. And I'm just saying spiritual base. I'm not saying that they're necessarily adherents, but that they respect what the schools represent, what the management represent. And so I am saying this morning, I want to say it categorically, that just like you have this organization that is called Gamas, that has representation from across denominational lines that of these churches that have schools and have an interest in educating the children, but not moralless, not breaking the moral compass. And you see, that's in order to get LGBT in the classroom, you need teachers that lack that moral fortitude, that spiritual, and you need managers that lack that moral fortitude.
That's right.
You need very secular, liberal people to begin to slowly occupy, be it the chief education officer, CEO of Ministry of Education. You need to have those liberal minds that can put that constant pressure against the church and the values of the kingdom, so that you can replace those values with secular values.
And Lewis, one of the primary drivers behind that is this international push of the LGBT and what we call the gender blender message, right? Where like it's shifting from absolutes over to this relative, kind of neutral, gender neutral, thing, and I would say morality neutral, right? Because again, they're trying to push that out, but that's what's trickling down, and we know exactly where it's coming from, right? So that's part of the reason of the need for those church schools to be able to band together. And I was just like in the military, if one platoon is getting hit and they get on the horn, and then the other one says, yes, we're getting hit also, you realize this is a strategic, attempt. We have to band together.
And so Gamas is a very strong, very united group. They meet very regularly. They are the ones, and I say, parents, those of you who have children in school, elementary school, high school, you should be thankful and grateful for such an organization. They don't get paid. They have to transport themselves to meetings and spend hours deliberating over material day and night to ensure that the education that your children receive, because that impact is not only felt in religious schools, that impact is felt across the educational field, whether your child is going to a government school or to a Christian school. And in Belmopan, thank God for the vision of people. I won't call any names, but there was a decision that Belmopan needs to have a Roman Catholic high school as an extension of Our Lady of Guadalupe. And so we began to see the formation of a high school. Then we see that the Methodists, and that Methodist school, Scott, has very, very high commendation from parents and from the community, because Methodist High School came in, started very small, and then began to, is now exerting a very powerful force in education in Belmopan. And then we saw the Baptist High School from nothing, from within one room, slowly, now you have hundreds of kids that are going to a religious school. Because remember, Belmopan first was what? It was junior, government elementary, government pre, government high school. It was just government. And then we began to see the churches began to say, no, religious institution is a necessity in the city. Catholic, Methodist, Baptist. We have the Baptist High School. And then, of course, Belize, the Belmopan area has two very, very, very strong educational institutions in private institutions, which are Shepherd's Academy and Belize Christian Academy. You see, so we saw the city of Belmopan from an extremely secular government. We saw a deliberate move to bring God into education through various institutions. And that is what is happening in Belmopan. And so Belmopan has a very, very strong pro-God biblical foundation values that are being transferred. And we live in a very safe city. We live in we're not saying that there aren't struggles and battles and so on, Scott, but it has created a change in Belmopan. So the Gammas concept, you have to push darkness back, because darkness seeks to invade.
That's right.
Spiritual darkness has that ability to, or seeks to push and invade. And if you just sit down and shut up and fold your hand, it's going to roll you. It's going to roll you over.
That's exactly right, Louis. You know, and I want to put a plug in this, because you know, in leadership dynamics and organizational dynamics, they say a core value that is not practiced is not a core value.
Mm-hmm.
You might have it on paper, but if it's not practiced and walking out, right, and then it's those strategies to get that in a very living way. But same exact thing of what you're talking about, Louis. Faith in God, in the Christian education system, and how it has changed things in the city of Belmopan. And so that's why we continue to activate and to push, Louis, for Christians to be actively involved in these kind of dynamics, because those values must be active. If they're left to drop into passive, something else is going to take over.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to call this morning that in the same way we have the managing authorities. So sometimes it's a principal that attends, sometimes it's a local manager. I think, number one, there's nothing like that in the elementary stream, in the primary school, because Gammas works in high schools. It works in high schools. So at the primary level, there is a association of principal. I think it's called BAPS, which is the I'm not very good with acronyms.
Association of Principals.
Yeah,
so I
right,
assume
yeah.
that's the A, and the P. S is probably schools, and B is probably
Belize.
We figured it out.
Yeah. And so there is a BAPS, but what it is primarily focused on, etc. Many times it is management. But I want to say this morning, that there is a teachers' union. There is a very good teachers' union. The Belize National Teachers Union has done very much and very good for the country of Belize. And it has fought on more than one levels. The BNTU, the Green Machine, has fought for teachers' rights, teachers' salaries, the welfare of teachers, Sometimes it's land and house, plots of land that are in general, and it is seen in high regard, the BNTU. And it is comprised of teachers across the nation of Belize from both government as well as secular, private, even schools, church-based schools. And it has also fought at the national level, fighting things like corruption, helping to bring UNCAC, the signing, etc. But Scott, there is the need, not for a union, not for another union, but for what I will call something like an association of Christian educators that are looking after curriculum. The BNTU, it has its mandate from its membership of what it fights for. But the teacher in the classroom, the educator in sixth form, all the way up to the University of Belize, there are Christian, and I'm not talking religious. I am very specific when I'm saying this morning that there is the need for educators, and I have some of them that I'm going to touch base with directly, that they know that they're in the classroom because of a call, not because they want to earn a paycheck or are looking for rights for themselves, but they see the classroom as a mission field. And I am calling this morning for, in the sense, stating very clearly and categorically that Christian teachers who are concerned about what children are being taught via the curriculum, you see, whether you are from a secular government school or from a Christian management base, you need to organize yourselves not to look after your own welfare, as in like a union, but to literally say, we are here for the children to ensure that biblical values are placed. Because the management is management, Scott, but teachers know curriculum, what is being taught, objectives. And so I'm making a very clear call this morning, and I want to expand that call, if you will allow me. Christian lawyers, not religious lawyers, Christian lawyers who understand their call. Say, this is why I became a lawyer. This is, God called me into law. Not to fill your pocket because it's lucrative, and I'm not saying that's not a part of what you will benefit. It's a lucrative trade. But knowing that you know that some of the legislation, laws, things happening in court, etc., monitoring what's happening in the Caribbean, etc., that the Spirit of God talks to you in and through your practice of law. There is a need in Belize for a Christian Lawyers Association. And then I will extend it one more, if you will allow me, to say that we live in the age now where television, what we do, is shifting dramatically. And there is a space where influencers and social media play a very key role in shaping culture. And I am making my third call this morning for all influencers in Belize who are Belizeans, or even if you are abroad but you are a Belizean influencer who is a Christian. You know who you are. We are calling you to a network. There needs to be an influencers network, a social media influencers network in this country. And God willing, before the summer is out, I will be putting together a conference for influencers and potential influencer. Maybe you're not an influencer as yet, but you want to be. you have your YouTube channel that you pet up, and you have your small scripts and stories. Scott, I think that it is time for us to strategically organize these new fronts in the battles that are ahead, that are shaping up.
It's true, Louis. And part of the reason why we believe this is because we believe that the church, the ecclesia, the called out ones, are called to be involved in every sphere of society, Louis. And what has happened many times, like what we've seen, I remember when I first came to Belize, I was talking with a guy and about, Christian Businessmen's Association. And the guy said, this is a Christian. And he said, might have even been a pastor. What? A Christian? No, there's no such thing. I said, what do you mean there's no such thing? There's no such thing as a Christian businessman. I said, why would you say that? He said, well, because in order to be a businessman, you have to lie and cheat, and be corrupt and all of this. There's no such thing as a Christian businessman. I said, no, sir. No, sir. God has called us to be light in the middle of the darkness. What happens is when the light pulls back, darkness takes over. And some of those same kind of leaders or peoples believe that the church should not be involved in government, should not be involved in politics. When the light pulls back from those areas, darkness takes over. And so, case in point, as we mentioned many times, El Salvador and President Bukele, how that nation has been not just changed, it's been
with juntas. But juntas has operated for a couple of years now, which is where Christian businessmen and women are receiving training, I think vision, networking in the business sector. I want to be careful how I speak, but I think juntas is a good idea, but it also needs to see its role in national development. It's kind of like Sunday school, where you are sharpening up your personal skills. That's why I see Sunday schools, like sharpen up your personal skills on the Word of God, and then, okay, now what? So that's how I see juntas.
Roll up your sleeves and get to work.
I hope they don't take it the wrong way. No,
it's still in its seed form, I think. Right?
You're there.
It's in its seed form.
So it's like, how long will you sharpen your machete? You need to get up and use that machete. So, but these things are good. They are good because there was nothing there before. So you have moved, like what you say, from a space where people think that Christians now belong in a business, to where now they are networking. But like how, and I think that to every believer. If I could finish off the segment like that, we have guests in the next segment, but like, how long will you sharpen your machete?
That's right. That's right. The only machete that needs sharpening, Louis, is one that's being used. And if it's not being used, you sharpen it, you set it in the corner, and it stays sharp. So when you're going to put it into practice,
when are you going?
The dullness starts to come in, so you got to sharpen up.
Absolutely. So we can take a break.
Let's take a break, and we've got some guests for our second segment, and so don't go anywhere yet.
We'll be right back.
Land of the coconut tree, I love me sweet Belize, sweet Belize. Land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef, I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever do leave me home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize. Land of the sand and sea. Land of the coconut tree. I love it, sweet Belize. Sweet Belize.
Are you looking for financing on equipment, machinery, vehicles, parts, or tools for you or your business? Benquip and Belize Bank have partnered to make purchasing easier than ever with Belize Bank's convenient online loan application platform. Simply apply online, get fast and secure financing, and access the equipment or vehicle you need to keep moving forward. Even better, use the promo code when applying and enjoy a special promotional interest rate exclusively for Benquip customers. Whether you're upgrading your fleet, investing in new machinery, or purchasing essential parts and equipment, now is the perfect time to make it happen. Visit Benquip today and ask about Belize Bank online loan financing.
The biggest football event in the world is finally here, and Smart is giving you the chance to play and win. Before every match starts, predict who will win. The more predictions you make, the more chances you have to win. Get 1 point towards your total when you guess the winning team. Predict the exact score and earn up to 4 points. The top scorer at the conclusion of the World Cup wins the grand prize of $2,500 in cash. That's not all. Players get a chance to win weekly prizes. Plus, our quarterfinal winner gets a watch party package. Play directly in the Smart app for just 50 cents per entry. Prediction starts June 1st to July 18, 2026. Don't just watch the World Cup. Play along and win with Smart. Smart, bringing people together.
Our police officers have a tough job. They work all the time, walking the streets, manning checkpoints, doing special operations in every neighborhood, in every community. They fight crime and keep the peace, serve and protect 24/7. Every day they put their lives at risk, facing hostility, aggression, judgment. And let's be honest, some of our neighborhoods are no joke. Some of our people are no joke. Let's try something different. Let's teach our children to respect the police, because the police have one job: to make our communities safer. And that's something we all want. We need to stop turning a blind eye when our children do bad things. We need to stop protecting the criminals. Belize is small, and in every neighborhood, we know who the bad people are. We know where the gangs, drugs, and guns are. Let's work with the police for the sake of our communities and to save the lives of our children. Let's be the village, all of us. We can have the Belize we want.
A message from the Ministry of Home Affairs and the Violence Prevention and Enforcement Unit.
Manholes play a critical role in keeping our sewage and drainage systems functioning properly. They allow our maintenance team to inspect, clean, and clear blockages. When covers are missing or compromised, the entire system and the public are placed at risk. Stealing or damaging manhole covers is a criminal offense and creates dangerous conditions on our streets and sidewalks. Motorists and drivers are reminded that it is an offense to park or drive on sidewalks. The weight of vehicles, large or small, can crack and dislodge manhole covers. In an ongoing effort to protect lives, property, and public infrastructure across Belize City, your Belize City Council continues its citywide manhole cover replacement program. Since the launch of this initiative, thousands of damaged or missing manhole covers have been replaced, improving safety, accessibility, and the overall appearance of our streets and sidewalks. Despite these strides, manhole covers continue to be stolen or damaged, creating serious risks for pedestrians and motorists including severe injuries, traffic incidents, and damage to personal property. If you see a manhole cover that is broken, missing, or unsafe, report it immediately. Take a photo and share the location with us via WhatsApp at 673-9055 or by calling 227-2308. Remember, maintaining manhole covers requires a shared responsibility. Together, we can prevent accidents, protect public infrastructure, and keep Belize City safe for everyone. Your Belize City Council, always about the people.
So it started off like any other summer day in Belize. I decided to go down to Builders Hardware since I heard they had 25% off on summer outdoor products. I got a couple of items, a chair, a grill, a cooler, and I got carried away, but the prices were so good. But anyways, I might have gotten comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Then I saw the news, man, the hurricane season was not playing with me. But thank God, Builders also had 25% off hurricane preparedness items as well. Flashlights, batteries, sealant, first aid kits, everything I need. And guess what? My grill survived.
Best Care Pharmacy in Belmopan is the #1 choice for your health and well-being. We stock medical supplies, blood and glucose tests, vitamins and supplements, OTCs and prescription and non-prescription medication. Visit us today at 2114 San Martin Road, Belmopan. We're open Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. and even Sundays at 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Or give us a call at 832-2200. Golden Citizen cardholders get a 10% discount, and a registered pharmacist is always available. Best Care Pharmacy, your health, our priority.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. Creole and Garifuna, Mestizo and Maya, living in peace. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the isles and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize. If I ever had to leave Belize, if I ever had to leave Belize, where would I go? Where would I go? Where would I spread my bed? Where would I lay my head? Nobody know. Nobody know. If I ever had to leave my home, no other place I ever roam could be like Belize. Be like Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, sweet Belize.
Welcome back to Rise and
Sweet
Shine. Thank you for
Belize.
joining us on this
Land
beautiful
of
Thursday morning. Remember what the weather says, right? It's going to gradually improve. It's going to gradually improve today, and so mostly fair weather. It will become mostly fair weather. So just hang on, hold on. It's going to come. So one of my friends gave me the exact wording for Gamascat. Yes. Grant-aided managing authorities of schools. They saw me struggling.
That's right. Get it right.
Right. This is GAMAS. We want you to become familiar with this organization as it speaks nationally on the education issues. We're going to switch a little bit, but equally important, our nation, our culture, our environment. You see the rains that took place over the weekend, and the city of refuge, Kerm said, the city of refuge. Everybody in the country was watching and said, like, what happened in Belmopan? But
it become the city of wow.
Yes, we have a beautiful country, and so there are so many systems that are set up, NGOs, groups, communities, that have ideas of how to improve the nation or improve the community or some area that you see needs some improvement. And so we are glad to have with us this morning the Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future. And their representative this morning, she is the communications officer, Chelsea Gill Anthony. Chelsea, good morning.
Good to have you with us this morning.
Welcome.
Yes.
It's a pleasure having you with us this morning. So, Belize Fund, I think that's more or less how we more refer to it. But Belize Fund for a Sustainable Future, grant call number 5. So is it one every year? It has been every year. So we want you to pay attention, especially if you are a leader of a group or organization, etc. So let's talk a little bit about the organization itself and how it receives those funds so that it's now able to disseminate those funds for the development of Belize.
So the Belize Fund get established back in March 2022, and it was under the Belize Blue Bonds. So it's a private conservation trust fund. Normally when people hear blue bonds, then think government, but it's a private conservation trust fund with the responsibility to manage the monies under the Belize Blue Bonds. And so as a conservation trust fund, it manages those monies. So think of it as a savings account for conservation, right? And so we have this call every year where we invite eligible entities, non-government groups, community-based organizations, youth groups, women's groups, private businesses who registered in Belize with the Belize Company Registry. Then they operate for a minimum of 1 year, and they have some sort of background or experience managing monies. Now, this is important because when you give an organization 50,000, 150, up to 500,000, they need to be able to show that they could manage one project at a size and the monies will come along with it. So this year, we have it opening July 20th. And we invite persons who have ideas to contribute to the coastal and marine ecosystems or environment to submit one concept paper. And like I mentioned, under the Belize Blue Bonds, so it has to be specific to contributing to ocean conservation.
Very good. Very good. I love to hear about the environmental conservation and preservation, and so I'm excited to see that there's an organization that's interfacing and creating opportunities for those efforts to be able to move forward.
Now all the rivers run out to the sea, right? And all the creek they run out into the rivers, and then the rivers run into the sea. So the sea that kind of like the sink, if we could say, you know, where if good things they upstream, good things will end up downstream, and if bad things happen upstream, it just will eventually reach out into the sea, into, you know, with barrier reef, into we very sensitive ecological systems that are there protecting us. So in the past, what are some of the projects and type of projects where the fund has been able to put out there existing now?
Okay, so this year we'll focus on 3 of the 4 thematic areas. So under the Blue Business Innovation, we would have fund organizations like Blue Nutrients will deal with seaweed products. So then do the shakes, some popsicles, dried seaweed, all different kind of byproducts. We also recently fund Barranca Botanics with the seaweed soaps. And down south, there's also Humana People to People. You would assist some of the bins then they collect. Yes. Right, so then take them.
We may have demand, yeah.
Right, so then take the plastics and they transform it into what you would have, let's say how 2x4 look, just like that, then planks, and then make chairs, then they'll post all of that out of the transformed plastics. And now under sustainable fisheries, now we talk about strengthening Fishers Association, because before when the fund just start, the amount of money is the small groups like the Fishers, they're not able to access the funding. But now we have the community grants where now smaller groups will just they get established. We don't have a full year yet, but they have good ideas. They know what their communities need, and so they could apply for grants up to 50,000, or actually this year up to 100,000 we increase it to. So under sustainable fisheries, you look on strengthening the association so that they value how they govern as one association, then could be united and then could put forward some of the things then what they want to work on. So we have Yugadan, down the Hopkins, we have Wabafa down the Dangriga, Shanosh Fisherman up north, and so also to we give funding to the University of Belize, where they got data upon the fisheries in Belize.
Yeah, they have a research. They have a research center.
Yes.
Can't remember which key, but
Calabash.
Calabash.
Yes.
Yeah, yes, it is Calabash.
Mm-hmm.
Where then they collect data, where
Yes.
could help the nation plan in the planning, policy making, and then that eventually find a way where the fishermen then they get one better catch and healthier catch, etc. Right? So,
right.
So this fund is set up as a part of the Blue Bond Initiative, and it's not the government itself, like things like that. I mean, one of the important things that there's going to be, right? This in a sense like a foundation that is going to say like it's like the people, the non-political arm of the nation will be deciding how best the money will be spent. Now this year, as you say, let's focus. It will focus on 3 things, right? So give us those 3 things again that the focus on this year, so that this proposal will come in. We have to in some way touch at least one of these 3 areas, or the 3 areas.
Right.
Yeah.
So the last one I never really mentioned, my climate resilience. So we talk about maybe restoring mangroves, seagrass studies, maybe corals, marine plastic pollution, those kinds of things. So just for Blue Business Innovation, maybe you could do lionfish jewelry, crafts out of conch shells. Be creative, innovative, but it's where you have your business and you're using these marine resources in a sustainable way. And there's climate resilience and also sustainable fisheries. So those are the 3 main focus this year.
Very good.
All right. Now, I'm going to start. I want to find a picture because Scott, I'm around for the weekend. And I'm in Placencia. and I really want to find the picture for show the picture, but
well, I was going to say that
go ahead.
The lionfish won't be too happy to hear about these plans, right? But we have to do something about it because it's definitely throwing things, out of balance, right? Absolutely. And so, yeah.
Also, sargassum right now is a big issue for the country.
I was going to suggest, Pastor Wade, you and me, let's come up with a strategy to make facial cream lotion out of sargassum, or build houses out of sargassum. Sargassum 2x4s, some kind of way, because it's crazy.
Yeah, but you got the picture. I said technician. I sent a photograph. It's the whole coconut tree, they float in the sea. Whole coconut tree, they float in the sea. And if you want to talk about our coastline under pressure, right? Because one of the things with coconut trees do, separate from mangrove, is that it helps hold the sand together, it helps hold the soil together, and it helps. There it is. This here, and this is, I don't know a resort. And so resorts tend to have a little bit more money for spend for try maintain the integrity, at least the coastline within the frontier, because that's for them direct revenue. But you imagine that the amount of soil and sand we had to give way, and if you watch, they're not like the soil, the sand, they taper off into the sea. You see that you see that 1 foot or 2 foot maybe even, and then you see the amount of sargassum. So climate change, climate resilience, the need for protect with environment. Global warming, because that sargassum, it's an algae where the warmer the temperatures, the warmer the water, the more that they proliferate. So do you see where small communities, small organizations can really impact the huge those huge changes? What would they say? They feel like helpless, or my project too small or something like that. What are your thoughts on that, and how can we get people to see that everything can make a difference in a sense?
Absolutely. I think one of the things where we try at the fund is have people sit themselves in at this whole conservation issue. Make it personal, and so that we could take ownership, because one of the biggest things we connect all with the ocean. We don't really say ocean yet, I believe, as much as say the sea, right? We see. So we have to be able to see ourselves, to see that every personal action where we could take, no matter how small, could contribute to the long-term sustainability of our ocean space. Yeah.
Now, let's hope that we are convincing some persons, some organizations, some groups. Now, depending on the size, because you say, look, some are 50,000, some are all the way up to 500,000, 500,000. So I guess they're not just the size of the plan, but also having that financial that capacity to keep track of the financial, right? To keep track and the reports, etc., need to go in. So let's talk a little bit about how to apply, and whether or not there are different restrictions or criteria depending on the size of what you will apply for. So if we could go into the specifics of that.
So under the community grants, we provide support for the smaller groups, because they might not know how to develop one full proposal. They don't know how to do the log frame, the whole technical part of it. And so we hired a facilitator who developed the proposal in collaboration with so you just have to tell them your ideas, what you want to do, and they help flesh it out and put it in the technical language where would require. And It's a two-step process. So you have to submit one concept paper first, and this not extensive. This is like your pitch basically, right?
So that no need any kind of highly technical skills. I just for take the ideas, write it down in our sales way, in a sense, to grab your attention.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then when we vet the idea, we do the review, we say, okay, this is one good idea. You have the impact, right? And that when we invite the entities to develop the full proposal. So there are two steps. Submit the concept first. Once you get the concept accepted, then you get invited to develop the full proposal. And then I feel, like I said, community grants. For the big organizations, they were established when they need the help, they go yes
to writing the full proposal.
They have
the people that do that.
Exactly right. And then this year too, we provide workshops. So in addition to the person who want to help develop it, we also carry you through the process too, because at the end too, we want to build capacity, right? We want you to understand the full process of applying for a grant, not just for the Belize Fund, but any other entities where they give grant funding, so that you be in a better position to support your organization. And so you could find out more about this through our website, the BelizeFund.bz, just BelizeFund.bz. And it goes through all the documents that you have to submit, all the requirements basically. But right now we also have some stakeholder engagements where I'm countrywide, but we only have 3 more left. Today the team did at Placencia. Monday they'll be in San Pedro. Tuesday they'll be in Key Cocker. And so if they have anybody who to listen could join, that is where you could go and take your specific ideas, because I know sometimes you're too shy, you don't want to share with you.
Yes.
But you could go and share your full idea there with the team, and then could give you direct feedback on what you need to submit in terms of justification to support your project.
This is excellent. And so I see this as a platform for young people that have never done something like this, but they have an idea to be able to connect in. And as you're saying, you have technical people that can help them in preparing, those reports and those proposals. And because grant proposal, I mean, there's whole courses at universities to teach you about how to write and draft grant proposals. And so, but the Belize Fund has people that would be there to help assist. So if you have the idea and you have the willingness to work and you have that honesty, you have to make sure that money goes where it's supposed to go and everything, then it's like the opportunity is right there. It's almost like you guys are creating a funnel to be able to pull ideas in and get them turned into work. Absolutely. Yeah, that's great.
Now, dates again. We need that because we know we're funnel people to the website as well for additional information. But it's July 20th. It's opening, and it will stay open until
August 7th for the concept paper. So up that window right there, you could submit a concept paper.
All right. Very good. And do you have does the organization have an idea now of how much, like, what's the total number of grants or the total amount that will be out there to be accessed this year?
So I don't have the exact figure, but I'm sure it's over 2 million that we are hoping to award in grants this year.
Very good. Right. Very good.
Okay.
Time for those ideas. Young people, older people, medium-aged people, time for those ideas to be put into practice.
I think youth groups, Scott, religious youth groups, community youth groups, cultural youth groups, can also and start small if you have not done it before. And I think you guys give a good gentle slope that any group can actually start, and then they will build capacity after that and become more used to applying for these things. Start with a small concept, start with a small community effort, and then learn from your experiences, and then you will begin to see new ideas. You'll begin to like it will shift your thinking as you move through your community and move to your country. You get to do one, and I think that you'll be able to slowly apply for larger and larger grants and do bigger things as time goes by.
Well, I'm thinking along the lines of some of our coastal villages where maybe they're having erosion problems or different things like what you saw with the coconut tree falling down. Something is definitely happening there, right? And even if you have a problem in your area and you don't know how to address it, I think that these people at the Belize Fund can help you to start to develop an answer to that problem. And like you said, youth groups, young people, I mean, you just get people working together to take their village back, you know, and to be able to keep and preserve that coastline. And so it's an opportunity for people to take ownership. That's what excites me, is when I see people take ownership and get involved in positive stuff like this. So it's an amazing project. I want to encourage everybody, BelizeFund.bz, okay? Very easy to remember, BelizeFund.bz. Go to the website, see what they've got there. If you need more information, you normally go to the bottom of a website, contact us, and they'll have an email address there. Engage, get involved, and they can actually help you to start to develop and create creative, projects to be able to do. So I'm very, very encouraged to hear this.
Is there anything else we're missing now? Any information?
Missing, but I think people get intimidated when they think about this whole process, and honestly, it's competitive, but we fund 30 projects so far, and all of them, the proposals up on the website. So if you want to wear one entity, maybe like one BTIA or smaller community groups submit, you could look at for them proposals and say the extent of, like the justification, so that you yourself know what will be required in the next step. But for the smaller groups then, the youth groups, women's groups, the associations, know that you will have the support to go through the process, because all you need is one accepted concept to move on to the next stage, and we provide that support for you for the proposal.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you very much for coming.
You've made my day
morning.
today.
Yeah.
Right? I'm encouraged to hear this.
Money is available.
Yes.
And this money
just needs ideas and people.
Right. From people to people. Sorry, a few man had a kind of piece of slogan, but as I said, it's not government. It's not government per se, where the minister and the CEO determine, or a political party deciding what to or
none
what
of that.
not to.
None of that.
Right? So it's right there. It's people powered in the sense that you have a legitimate shot, regardless of religious or cultural or ethnic or political even background. Doesn't matter. It's your idea. It's what it is that you can come up with, your group can come up with, that's going to make our country better. Small things work together to become big things. And so everything helps. When you see the coconut tree, I mean, that's a crisis. Yes, the one coconut tree, but that is telling you that our environment is under massive strain. Our coastline is under massive strain. When you just see something like that taking place, this is not something unique that's taking place. And there are many things, if you open your eyes, love your community, be conscious of what's taking place around you. Every problem has a solution. Like, this is the gift that God has given to us. And so we're grateful that funding exists for that. Scott, your closing comments this morning?
Well, Louis, I'm a people power, people movement person, and all it needs is for good people to come together, come up with ideas, come up with solutions, not only for this related to the Belize Fund, but everything else in our nation. It just needs for people to come together. You identify a problem, and then you come up with a creative plan to be able to fix that problem. problem. And that's what we need in our nation. So I want to encourage you, if you've got ideas along the coastline or anything related to, you know, the ocean, the sea, preservation, conservation, all of these different things, like the resources are there. They'll even help you to streamline your plan. But we need this in every area, in every sector of society. So I just want to encourage all of us as Belizeans, you need to take advantage of this, okay? Get in there, get your ideas, get your groups together, and hurry, because when's the cutoff? August what? 7th. August 7th, okay? So they've got a window of time here for your applications to be able to come in. Get your foot in the door and start doing something positive.
Right. Please, you have no excuse, because even if you don't know how to set up your proposal, the training is going to come. So you get your foot in the door by just coming up with a great concept, putting that on paper, submit it within the window of time, and let the process begin. So everything is a journey. There's a first time for everything, and even if you don't get your project approved this time around, you will slowly, your mind will begin to shift in this direction where you, like even as I said, if it didn't line up this time, you're turning the ship in that direction, and then next year you can probably put together something very different, very much better. But can I urge you, start this year.
That's right.
Start this year.
August 7th.
Let's end how we started, Scott.
That's right.
That we will not say next week, next month, next year.
Now's the time.
No.
That's
Start
right.
it now. Get into the process now. Thank you very much, Belize, for joining us this morning. Thank you very much,
thank you for
Anthony,
being with us.
For joining us. It's an absolute pleasure, and we look forward to when those proposals come in and you begin to give the grants and the ideas begin to roll in. As I said, I remember we had Humana, people to people, that were with us, and they were talking about that very same project because they had received that grant. So we know that it's working. And things that's less bottles floating down to the ocean. From all of us here at Rise and Shine, God bless you, Belize. See you tomorrow.
Sweet Belize, land of the sand and sea, land of the coconut tree. I love me sweet Belize. Sweet Belize, land of the islands and keys, land of the barrier reef. I love me sweet Belize.